Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 10 of Postnatal Minds, the podcast. Today, I am joined by the lovely Michela from RAND, and this episode is loosely all going to be about kind of holistic healing. I see Michela for reflexology, and yeah, it's my favorite part of the month. So it's like my bit of self-care. But anyway, without further ado, Michela, do you want to just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, sure. I am Michaela. I am a mum. I have a boy and a girl, 9 and 6, happily married, and I am the founder of RAND Holistics.
9 and 6, so they're a little bit older, they're in the school years, but taking you back to those days, how were your pregnancies and your postnatal experiences, your birth? Tell us a little
Oh
bit about that.
gosh. Luckily my pregnancies were both amazing. I didn't really have any complications. A few of the usual like aches and pains when you get to the later weeks of your pregnancy.
Yeah.
My son Baxter, who's my eldest, he was 9 days late. He was £9 two.
Oh, wow.
Reflecting on his birth, it was really traumatic.
Was it?
So I really wanted to be like Mother Nature, and I did the whole holistic uh hypnobirthing. Yeah, no.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
He was a forceps delivery, love him. I actually ended up breaking the this is going to sound so dramatic.
I'm here for it.
He was a forceps delivery, and I broke the bottom of my back. I broke my coccyx bone giving birth to him. It was the only way that they could get him out. And I vividly remember laying down, and I looked at my husband, and I just remember saying, that better not have been his neck. It was my initial, and I heard the surgeon who was like, no, it was your back.
How did they manually have to break your back, or did his head break it?
Yeah,
Or
so and I mean I feel like my birth with Baxter, looking back on it, is just so comical because the lady that did my forceps delivery was called Dr. Fanny.
okay, interesting.
And I just think from then on, like Tom and I were just a bit like, what is going on?
Real.
Um, but yeah, he definitely came into the world with a bang. Um,
Wow.
but it was, and it took a while for me to come back into the room. I suppose we were
Yeah.
in the hospital for quite a while. Um,
So with forceps, presumably you had an episiotomy, and then you had the coccyx thing as well. Wow, so
yeah,
a lot of you're starting that journey with a lot of pain.
yeah, we both had sepsis as well.
Oh wow.
Mm,
Okay, so
both of
a
us.
good pregnancy, but quite a rocky old enter into the world.
Yeah. And I think that was kind of like my first step into motherhood, and what the hell?
Yeah. Wow. And
Yeah.
then how was your what was the second like?
Lucia's birth was incredible. Everything
Really?
I'd ever wished for. It was a C-section. And I just remember going into the hospital and also almost having to kind of like prep talk myself into,
Mm,
you can do this and it's going to be really positive. And it
yeah.
really was.
Did you have quite a lot of trauma from birth before? Did you opt for an elective C-section then? Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
opted for that. Many reasons. I feel like in my head I was a bit like, I've done the natural. I've tried,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I just, for me, for my own mental sanity, I suppose,
Yeah.
I wanted that C-section,
Mm.
and it was the dream that all the nurses were talking about what they were going to have for lunch.
I know it's so
Next
surreal, isn't it?
next minute, Tom, the surgeon again looked round to Tom, and he was like, "You can take some photos if you like." And I just remember grabbing Tom's arm and being like, "Don't faint, do not
Oh,
faint."
really?
And we've got the
Really?
most incredible pictures of,
Yeah.
Lucia being born via C-section, which is
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Um,
We had our first birth. We had the anaesthetist said, do you want me just to do pictures for you so you can just take it in. And we were like, oh yeah, great. We hadn't even thought about it.
Yeah.
And then he did such an amazing job. He took pictures and he filmed the birth for us. And then, yeah, and then second time round, they did it again. So we've actually got both of them being pulled out.
That
And
is incredible.
but you just reminded me about the conversation because you're like sitting there, aren't you, getting this spinal block in. Your child's bucked into the world. You're staring into the sea. I don't know if you're probably in that same room as me. You're looking
Yeah.
out, you're looking into the sea, which really helped me actually. And you're thinking, you're all talking about like what your favorite song is and like what you're having for tea, and you're about to deliver my child, but it helps you to feel really like relaxed.
But also, I think for the people that work there, like the midwives, the surgeons, that's their normal. They're doing it day in and day out. So for them, it is like what you having for lunch.
Yeah, let's get this show on the road.
Yeah. But yeah, and I just remember having Lucia, and I remember being on the ward. And I said to Tom, I have to get up and start walking around. I wanted to be active and move my body as soon as I was able to. And
Yeah.
I just remember being like, we're going to be in here for one night and then we're going home. I was very adamant about that.
Yeah, I mean, I was 2 nights with my first and 3 with Arlo, but that was kind of he did other tests and stuff. But also, with the pain the second time round, I probably couldn't have gone home any sooner than that. I was okay with that. Also, once you get home, it's like the carnage commences, doesn't it? There's
Oh,
a bit of me that is
massively. You
like,
hit the ground running, don't you? As soon as there's downtime. What's that?
yeah, it's indescribable, isn't it?
Yeah.
That that whole well, the whole thing. Even now, sometimes it's hard to put into words. So you had two quite different births. Your pregnancies were good. Did you work? Were you working at that time? How did you get into what you do? Tell us a bit about RAND Holistics.
So I remember when I was pregnant with Baxter, and one of my very good friends, Leanne, bought me a voucher for reflexology.
Oh,
And it's
really?
something that I've always been interested in. I've always been, was working in dentistry at the time, so very medical, very
Yeah,
black and white, very scientific.
yeah,
And I just remember her getting me a voucher, and it was the most amazing treatment I'd ever had. And I was like, there's something really about this that we need to unlock here. I don't think it's something, people have their facials and people have
yeah,
full body massages. But I think the Chinese medicinal side of things like reflexology and acupuncture, I think that's very much forgotten about, but it's been around for billions of years.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I used to manage a hospital locally, a mental health hospital, and we actually used some of our charity money that we'd raised to run alternative therapy clinics. And they were always our calmest days on the wards because the patients would be having massages or reflexology, or we couldn't obviously do acupuncture, although that is trialed in some places in the NHS.
Mm.
Yeah, reflexology and massages, and you'd walk around the wards and you just know that lady was in because everyone was just like floating. And I
Yeah,
and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, if the NHS was in a better state than it was, so many things could be prevented by that being
massively.
commissioned as a treatment. Like it's
And,
so effective and simple.
and this is like my biggest thing that I advocate is I think prevention over cure. And don't get me wrong, again, we're so lucky to have the NHS. We're so lucky to have what we have. But why not prevent? Why not do things for
Yeah.
yourself?
I'm so with you on that. Like alternative therapies being the one thing that people need, and then a
Yeah.
lot of their other ailments will go away.
Oh, massively. And I think, like, I wrote an article last year about your body constantly speaks to you, it constantly tells you what it needs. But we live such an autopilot world that we don't tune in enough.
No.
Whether that is, your career and, being a parent. And, I just feel like today's world, we're so up in the air. Like the amount of people that I meet and they come to see me, and the first thing I think of, like, you're not grounded.
Mm.
You're so in your head. And again, I think it does. I think social media has a lot to answer for.
Yeah,
And
and just phone use and technology,
massively, massively.
getting, the plug of oxytocin, very quick fix of oxytocin when someone likes something or does something, and it's
Yeah.
that constant feeding. And I believe that's why, disorders like ADHD and things like that are on the rise, because people they're getting used to getting that, quick fix and the quick
Yeah.
attention span thing.
I think it's really, really sad. I feel like, I mean, this is going to sound so hypocritical, but I love social media because, it's where I get seen as RAND Holistics, and I'm very grateful for that. And it's
Yeah.
a platform that
Yeah, you have
I've
to use
grown
it.
to, but
Yeah.
I do feel like there is a minority that you post something and you get downhearted because you don't get a certain amount of likes or comments. And I just think that's really sad.
It takes
Yeah,
time. So sometimes you can be, some of the like educational posts you might do, or,
yeah,
filming, like it does all take time. And I
yeah.
suppose that's what some of the disappointment is sometimes. And like you said, you have to spend time on it, and it is part of your service, but it doesn't lead to you feeling grounded, does it? Aware or,
I just feel like whenever I go on social media, I always think to myself, let me look at something that I can learn about. I like to follow people that I'm going to learn things from, or they're going
Mhm.
to, I get feel good information from. As soon as I hit that, it didn't really make me feel good, I generally come off of it. I'm such a
Yeah.
great believer in, not just you are what you eat, but you are who you surround yourself with. You are what you watch on TV, what you listen to, what you consume. Energy wise, like everything that is around you is a reflection of you.
Yeah. You put up a post a few weeks ago. I think I said this to you, and it was I can't remember if it was by now, but it was something. I think it was just a story, and it was about surrounding yourself with people that calm your nervous system, and it
Yeah,
really made me think, because there were certain things going on that were making me feel very uncalm at that time, and that's
yeah.
quite easy for me now with everything that's happened with Arlo. I feel like I am probably on that state of hyper alert quite a lot, or worry, particularly things like when he's got a cold now, and I'm thinking forward. I'm thinking, am I going to be in the Alex next week for a week plus
You
away from
do
Albert? All these
preempt.
things start spiraling. Yeah, because it's my reality, but
But
it
also, that's
really,
your fight and flight system.
yeah,
That is literally your fight and flight system preparing you for if the eventuality was to happen, you'd be like, I'm
yeah,
already prepped for this.
yeah. But it did also make me feel like, right, well, that's not in my control, but the way I behave and who I have around me is in my control. And
Mm,
I've learned a lot of lessons since Arlo's diagnosis, and the vast majority of people, around us, absolutely supportive. But I really did learn some tough lessons about friendship and what is and isn't good for me now. And
yeah.
there were some people that I naturally, had to kind of step away from, and the way I approach kind of, if there's conflict or drama that I don't need to kind of be around or in, or not, you never need to be in it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If there are things happening around me that I'm not comfortable with, I will absolutely step away now. And because I think when something so much bigger happens to you, it just
Yeah.
puts you in, and
Puts
linking
it
into
into
what you're saying about,
perspective.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's definitely a lesson that I've learned in my late 30s for sure. Not that I was ever really involved in drama, but I believed in voicing myself and I believed in standing up for people.
mm,
I still believe in that, but now I'm a bit like, actually, do you know what? I'm just going to be in my bubble with my husband and my two kids because Tom, Baxter, and Lucia, that's all that really matters.
yeah,
And
so
I just
true.
think, friendships evolve, people
Mm,
change all the time. Like, I'm sure that you're not the same person you were 2 years ago. I'm
no,
not. And I think we evolve and we learn and I think the older you get, you kind of learn to, observation over
yeah,
emotional reaction of, blah,
yeah,
you observe and you're like,
yeah.
actually, do you know what? I'm just going to stand on the sideline.
Yeah. You get that anyway with perspective and life of growing up. When you add in trauma and big things that have happened to you that are going to derail your life in a certain way, you get it tenfold. You know,
Yeah.
that ability to perspective, but also you really know when something's not right because it will sit on your mind and you can't, you can't work through it, and you just think like I can't, I'm going to tap out of this one because
And that's your instinct, that's your gut
yeah,
saying, actually, do you know what? And, I say to people all the time, if something doesn't feel right and it's a no, that's okay.
yeah, it's so true. So you were saying that you had reflexology when you were, how did
Got a
you,
voucher for from Baxter's baby
yeah,
shower for my friend Leanne. Yeah, I just thought it was the most incredible thing, and I just wanted to learn everything about it. I wanted to. I'm a great believer in knowledge is power, and I love learning every little detail. And this is something that I have flitted from job to job throughout my whole life, but reflexology, I was like, there's something about this that
mm.
I'm just so in love with. And then RAND Holistics was born.
So you then trained and became a reflexologist?
Yeah,
Yeah,
face and feet. So I was still working in dentistry, and it was a really tough. Baxter was 2.5. Lucia was a newborn, so I'd already qualified, but I was studying to get my advanced qualifications. And I remember getting up at 4 in the morning doing coursework, then having to drop the kids, or Tom dropped the kids to nursery or nans, and then I'd do a full day at the dental practice. And then it was tough, but
yeah,
i'm
you did
grateful
it.
i'm grateful that I did do the hard work. And it started off with a couple of clients, and then within a few months I kind of said to Tom, I'm filling up like 2 days worth of clients here. And we had that conversation of, do I go self-employed, do I, and it was,
Lunge.
and I just remember saying to him, I need to do this. If it works, it's going to be incredible. If it doesn't work, at least I can say I tried. And I'm so grateful that
In your
it's,
gut.
best decision I've ever made.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know when we met and I had that call with you, I think you had like a month, oh, it was a month till you could see me, or maybe even longer. I can't
Yes.
remember it
So I
now,
think off
but
the top of my head, I'm like fully booked until mid-April.
yeah. So that's 2 months really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So because alongside this conversation, I guess what I'm saying is you're a mum, you're a reflexologist and a holistic practitioner, and you're also a business owner, which you must align separate goals with. And
Yeah.
being a parent and a business owner and having that business mostly work from your home is also a lot.
It is a lot. And I think my biggest struggle is flipping from reflexologist and then finishing work, and then within 10 minutes I'm on the school run.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't have that time, but then I wouldn't have it any other way.
No.
Um, and it's crazy and it's busy, but I'm grateful. I've got a few things in the what is the word?
Pipeline.
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 I was going to say
What is
line
that?
pipe. Then that's my
What?
dyslexia coming out. Get things topsy turvy. Yeah, I've written a few articles now. I love writing, which again makes me laugh because, like I've explained to you, I am dyslexic.
Yeah, but that doesn't stop your creativity and you're like, reaching those goals. So
Yeah,
common.
yeah. I think I'd love to write a book on reflexology one day. Yeah, there's so many things that I'd like to do.
What are the main therapies that you practice every week for someone who might have heard about it but never done it or might not know what it is that you offer?
Okay, so predominantly I am a reflexologist, so I offer foot reflexology and face reflexology. and those are my busiest treatments. The mid last year, I trained with an amazing lady called Sophie Perry in the natural facelift. It's become like my favourite treatment to do.
I didn't realise that's who you train with, because that's how I knew about it before.
Yeah, no, she was an amazing trainer, fantastic teacher, so knowledgeable. But yeah, I'm a great believer in, we should be actively aging, and aging is an absolute privilege. And I just think we are all individually so beautiful, and I just feel sad that this, I'm pro-choice, you do you, but for me personally, I want to teach women and men how to look after their faces. We actively work out our bodies when we run or yoga or swim or whatever it is that we do, and we can work out our faces as well, and I can do that for you.
Yeah, and that's where you hold so much tension. Like we did some time, we had some time last week, didn't we, when you were filming
Yes.
some content, and I was lucky enough to model for Michela. And part of that was, is it buccal? Is that how you say it?
Buccal massage, yeah.
Buccal massage, which is like the cheek. I'm sure there's going to be some
Intraoral,
really
yeah.
beautiful pictures of me with my cheek hanging out off your hand. Well, I'm judging that, but no, but I was literally mind blown, wasn't I? I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, like you only did like a few minutes, but the tension that I could feel in that moment just going, and also the ways that you obviously have been trained confidently to like move the cheek around, and
Yeah.
wow, like just
It's the most
mind
intuitive,
blown.
most intuitive part of the natural facelift is the buccal massage, because women specifically hold tension in their jaws because it's actually the hip reflex. So, we hold a lot of trauma from our birth in our jaw,
Yeah, wow, I felt
which,
that big time.
and I do have, it can be quite an emotional experience.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because I know when I came to you, I I was obviously postnatal. I was still quite in the thick of it, and I knew I wanted to start doing some like self-care things for myself. And I made myself a promise, kind of end of last year and this year, that I would try and get to you once a month, and that was going to be like my self-care time. Yeah, and I was just really conscious that. And this is actually one of the thoughts I had about when I set up Postnatal Minds, is that you're obviously there for a physical procedure. So I'm giving you my feet and you're doing what you do. And it's linking up with that release of emotions. And I felt it the other day, even when you were working through the tension in my jaw, and I said to you, oh my God, my cheeks like tingling. It was an amazing feeling. But with the reflexology afterwards, I remember saying to you, is it normal that I feel quite exhausted and drained at night? And you were like, yeah, expect to feel like that from a place. But it's that self-love thing. But I had to prep myself a little bit going back next time, because I knew I would feel quite worked through in a good way.
Yeah, yeah.
But
And
do
this
you,
is
do
like
you
this.
get quite a lot of people cry, like emotions coming out as and when you do?
Massively,
Do
massively.
you? Okay.
This is like the one thing that people just get stunned by is the emotions that come out. And you're walking around burying all of those emotions. And this goes back to the Chinese medicine side of things. If you don't get on top of your emotions, and emotions are not a bad thing. Like if you're angry, feel angry. That's okay. If you're sad, feel sad. That's okay. But go through it, work through it, release it. I feel like if we hold on to these emotions, this is when you get physical aches and pains.
Mm.
And again, I wrote an article about your lungs. They hold on to the emotion of grief. And I see that in people. At the end of a session, I'll ask, all these questions. And like, how do you know that? I'm like, it's written all over you. Your body, your feet are telling me, your face tells me. And it's
Yeah,
written all over. It's fascinating.
yeah, so true. Yeah, I remember what you said to me after my first session, and it was so reflective of how I was feeling. And I guess it just really eggs me on to carry on doing what I'm doing, because part of the reason that I started Postnatal Minds is that I would go to reflexology, I would go to uh, Pilates, but not, and like my mind would be like stroked and tapped, but nothing was really, that time wasn't for me to talk and say about how I was feeling like, but I was recognizing that there was a lot going on and
Yeah.
I needed to offload that. But within that postnatal self-care world, there wasn't a service that really did that for me. That wasn't like my 6 week checkup. But so that was, really I'd love a postnatal world where exercise, reflexology, and mental health and
Yeah.
emotional support all work together, because I honestly think that every mum should have time to talk, time to lie down and relax, and time to
I
stretch
couldn't
or exercise their body.
agree more. I feel like as mums, we are expected to just keep going.
Yeah.
But I do think to myself, we've got these little people watching us.
Mm.
And much as we've just had half term and we do play dates, we go out for days, we go to the park, obviously juggle the workload. But I really do teach Baxter and Lucia that it's also very important to have downtime.
Yeah.
I'm such a great believer in teaching them to have a moment and just to, sit on the, I mean, laughable, sit on the sofa.
Oh,
But
it's so
I
true
do
though.
think, I want to teach my children that rest is just as important. And we do kind of like mental health books where, talk about breathing, and I've got emotion books, and we do talk about it as a family quite a lot.
Feelings. Yeah, I think it's so important. I've talked about this in other episodes about opening up those conversations with your children and about being honest and open. And like you were saying, feeling sad or angry. I put up a story yesterday because Alba has just got big feelings going on at the moment.
Yeah,
And it's a real change from what I'm used to. So I've really
yeah,
had to think about my approach and not let how drained I am from it offload onto her. But last night she was saying, I want to stay up late and I'm not tired, I'm not tired. And she was bashing her hands, but she was getting into bed. So she was saying to me, I'm not tired, I don't want to go to sleep. But her body language was saying to me, I am
yeah.
tired and I do want to go to sleep. And then I said, Alba, are you really angry? And she was just crying and she was going, yeah. And she was crying, saying how angry she felt.
But how lovely it is that you gave her that word. Are you feeling this? Yes,
Yeah.
that's okay. You're
Yeah.
feeling angry. You're
Yeah.
giving her that confirmation.
Yeah, we had that grown up, and as soon as she was able to label, and I appreciate every time it's not always like that. Sometimes it does end up with her, but this is a new thing for me. But I couldn't agree more with you about opening up that conversation. And I've really been thinking about screen time at the moment, because sometimes I do feel if she has had too much screen time, that does impact or some of the stupid stuff they watch. But at the same time, I dropped her to forest school today. That'll be 6 hours out in the cold. When she
Yeah.
comes in, I don't feel the pressure to do a puzzle or go and do something, because
No, I
I would be
don't.
shattered from spending 6 hours outside. Yeah, you can lie on the sofa with a blanket and watch Matilda, or play some games on your
Agreed.
iPad, whatever, because we would want that too. Like sometimes our expectations on our children are really unrealistic and
Yeah.
high.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I feel like I'll go back to social media where we're seeing these beautiful highlights of other mums' lives of,
Sensory
we
trays and cooking.
oh my gosh. I do just think that that's really wonderful, but I'm probably going to do one of those things this week. And if I
Yeah,
get that done, then, I do think there's the pressure these days is insane.
and the judgmental push as
I
well. But don't you always think with those things, you're putting that up because that might be what you do for a living? I don't know. But some people, it will say like, oh, I'm like, what you're saying isn't what you're doing. So you're saying, oh, I'm doing all this to spend time with my kids. How much time have you spent filming that today? Like the true time that comes with my children is when my phone's actually away in the lounge. And
yeah,
even if that means me snuggling up and saying, can I watch this with you? Or not sort of doing stuff with them all the time, but them just not seeing
yeah,
you filming everything, because like you said, they're watching and
yeah,
they need that one-on-one time with you. And I saw this post the other day about if you're talking to someone and you've got your phone, even if you put your phone down face down in front of you and that person will still feel the fact that there is something there that you might need to prioritize over them and what they're
yeah.
saying to you.
Isn't
And
that
it really made
mental?
me
Like,
think.
I do think back to I'm an 80s child, and I don't remember, we didn't have phones. It
No,
was,
we were
and also
lucky.
I was talking to my mum about half terms and summer holidays. And I do think, I grew up in Camden, North London, and we used to go to, the Heath or Primrose Hill, and would meet all of our friends at the park, or you wouldn't even meet people. You would just know that they were there. So you'd all go along, you'd spend the day out. There was no device or TV
No.
or anything like that. And you'd go home, and I don't know. I just feel like life was so much simpler, and I don't understand how we've overcomplicated motherhood. And I just feel it makes me feel sad, because I feel like motherhood could be such a wonderful tribe of women all supporting each other. And I feel
Mm.
that we unconsciously or consciously tear each other down. And I just think it's really sad.
Yeah, I think it's getting better. I do think we've got work to do still for sure, but certainly the communities that I'm now linked into, there's a lot more love and support out there. Um,
Which is wonderful. And I do think everyone has their good and bad days. And I remember going to a baby group when Lucia must have been a few months old. Baxter was 2.5. And I remember turning up at this baby group, and I'm like, I'm winning at life. We've got both the kids
mm,
out. Tom was at work. And I just remember thinking, we're going to have a really good morning. I've got some snacks for Baxter. Lucia's asleep in her car
winning.
seat. I can focus on Baxter. And he was having a morning of big feelings. And he had a tantrum, and he was being quite loud. And I was like, I'm still going to be here with him. And normally I would just get my stuff and go home. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that today. And I just remember this other mum came up to me, and she was just like, he's being really, really loud. I think you should leave. So I packed my stuff and I left.
Oh my goodness. I
And I
don't think you
just,
get that nowadays. I do think there are a lot more mums. I nearly put it on my post yesterday actually saying if you see someone with a child that's screaming or having, a big feeling moment, please just go over and say you're all right. Or like not in a judgmental way, like is everything okay? But I'm always Uber scanning the room to be like, is there anyone that needs my help here? At times I've even said to mums, like, do you want me to hold the baby whilst you just attend to that? Or like
hmm.
feel like there is that yeah, if you're in the right places, but yeah, there's still a heap full of the other stuff as well. And you only have to go and sit in a cafe or something to get someone who's rolling their eyes or doesn't want the child's noise, like they've never been a child.
Just think that's really sad, though. I just think, why would you go out of your way to make someone else feel like
Yeah, because
that?
that's all it is. Whether it's a child or not, you are putting yourself out there to make that person feel rubbish, and that's
But
not
also,
kind.
why would you want to openly and knowingly put negative energy on someone else? Like, if I try to I must look like a nutcase walking down the road, because I try and just consciously try to smile at people,
Yeah,
like make eye contact and be like,
that energy.
I just
Morning.
feel like it's really sad when why would you want to do that? It makes me feel really sad.
I've been running obviously a lot recently, and like I do it, and I'm running. I'm like. Like some people are like really up for it, but some people are probably a bit like, you're right.
I went for a run yesterday, and there was it was a quiet road. It was only me and this other, and this woman was running past me, and I was like, just gave her a little smile, and she smiled back at me, and I was like,
Yeah,
I love that.
community feels. I love it.
Yeah.
So the main things that you offer are your reflexology. And you said one of your favourite things to do is the natural facelift. What does that entail and what results have you seen?
It is my longest treatment. It entails exercising the face, energizing the face, bringing that blood flow back, sculpting and lifting the muscles, releasing any tension. And you don't realize how much kind of stress and I don't want to say sadness, but you do hold a lot in your face. And
Mm.
especially like around your eyebrows and your eyes nowadays, because we are on devices, and the strain that it puts on your forehead and even your scalp.
Mm.
And it all, I love working on the lymphatic system as well.
Yeah.
Geek out about the lymphatic system.
Well, go on, give us some. funky facts
I
about the
just think
lymphatic.
it's amazing. I do. Our lymphatic system, we don't have a magic pump for it. So our pump for the lymphatic system is exercise. So when we are moving, our lymphatic system is, moving as well and ridding of the toxins. If you're quite a stagnant person, you do hold on to a lot of water retention and toxins, and it just sits in your body. Imagine, and again, that energy of having that toxic waste just sitting there. And it is, I love the meridians and the zones of the body, like the energetic
That's
lines.
so for someone in that postnatal period,
Hmm.
what can you do for them?
Everything. I can make you see, I think the biggest thing, postnatal mums, is I like to make you as a mum feel seen and heard again. I feel like mums are, it's like that thing where you give birth and everyone wants to see the baby, and I'm like, the mum, what about the mum?
Yeah,
Mum.
absolutely. That's my motto. And do you see people like during pregnancy and then do
Yeah.
they stay with, yeah.
Yeah, so I do a lot of fertility reflexology that I think a lot of people are quite surprised about. So I do work on the hormonal system to help your body conceive a pregnancy.
Mm,
I have worked through a lot of IVF journeys, which is beautiful. And then I
yeah.
see you all the way throughout your pregnancy, or your aches and your pains and anything that we can alleviate for you. And then I've even seen women that have gone overdue, and we've done induction reflexology, which again is really powerful. And then I get the beautiful little pictures of baby feet when the baby's born.
Yeah, amazing.
And then if the mum wants to, when she's ready, I'll then see her and baby after, and then I do mother and baby sessions, so I can teach the mother how to do reflexology on their baby.
Bet they do you like leave a little bit of time for cuddles at those appointments? I feel like I'd
Yes,
have to spend my diary overfill
I
it.
do, I do. And it does, it takes me back, because mine being slightly older now, and I it does take me back
Yeah,
to that. It's
wild time.
wonderful. It's bloody hard work, but it's wonderful.
And we had a really lovely link the other day, didn't we? A lady who contacted me on Postnatal Minds who'd recently moved
Yes.
from London locally, who was having a baby with achondroplasia like Arlo. And it was really magic because we were able to move before her baby boy was born.
I think that was meant to happen.
Yeah, but she saw me post about you and she came along to you. And then when I
You
saw you the other
did.
day, I was able to show you a picture of the babies. That was really lovely. And she obviously had a tough time during that diagnostic period. And she was like, "Oh my God, I felt so relaxed." So yeah, it's so lovely to be able to like work together like that as well and help
Massively.
mums.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I said that the other day, didn't I? When we were together with the PR team, like this is amazing to be in a room full of inspiring, motivating, energetic women that are just
Yeah.
doing
And
such good
just
stuff.
all supporting each other and making things happen. And what a lovely conversation that we all had having lunch
Yeah,
together. And again, you are who you surround yourself with.
yeah. And there are so many benefits to people with the things that you do that you can't actually articulate. So you
And that's
can't really explain to someone, okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to come, you're going to lie on my chair or bed, and I'm going to push or navigate pressure areas with you, and you're likely to feel like you can't vocalize it. You're likely to feel relaxed, on the verge of going to sleep. Just speaking from my experience, like tapped into in a way that you probably haven't for a long time, lifted, a little bit drained afterwards, and a little bit vulnerable because you feel it in a mental and physical way. It's really indescribable. I'm just like the
so
biggest,
many people
I'm the
say
biggest
that.
fan.
They normally just say, just go and see her.
Yeah, that's what I
And it
do.
is
I'm like,
like,
she's
I'm
amazing. Go, go, go.
thank you so much. But it is like an accumulation of, if someone was to say to me, what is reflexology? I think it's even difficult for me to articulate as a reflexologist. And
Yeah.
I think, in layman's terms, it is acupuncture, but without the needles. So I'm
Yeah, I would
working.
say it's a release.
Yeah.
relaxation and a release.
Yeah.
And
And you can work on so many reflexes that coordinate with organs and correlate with emotions. And I feel like I love the fact that I've created such a wonderful kind of like safe space for people to just release what they need to release and then skip out the door. Yeah. And every
yeah,
session's different as well, which
yes,
is,
so it must be so interesting, like the variety of what you see at Tree.
yeah, it is. And I feel lucky to be chosen to be that reflexologist for everyone. Yeah,
Yeah,
do you, you know, it's an honor.
yeah, I can't sing reflexology praises enough. I've had it during both of my pregnancies and postnatally, and it was always the time, particularly after having kids, that it's the highlight of my week. Like, I'm seeing you tomorrow, aren't I, for my treatment,
You
and I'm
are.
just get there, get to that time, and that will be the time that I can shut off and just like disconnect from my brain for a minute. And I can't always like fully relax how I used to, but it certainly allows me to kind of transport into that realm that I can't
Yeah.
normally access. But I can't do it on a day where I'm doing any runs or anything because I come out and I'm a bit like so in
Disorientated.
that
Yeah.
realm.
Yeah.
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 You have to do it on a day where there's nothing that you need to concentrate on in the afternoon. I'm excited to see you carry on doing your thing. And I know we're going to work together in the future on a
Hey.
business front, but also the clients that we see and
Yeah.
that referral of that community, because you will see women that are in a vulnerable place, and I'll see people that might need that more physical release. And it's
Absolutely.
the working together is so important in my eyes.
I do as well. I think it's really good to collaborate and merge ideas and
Yeah,
yeah. I think
better
that's
together.
so absolutely. I feel like we should be, we should be a community of supporting each other. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Michaela, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. I've loved
You,
it.
you were, Michaela was saying she felt nervous, but you are such a bloody natural on camera. You're a big fat
Thanks.
liar.
You can see I've been fiddling with a hairband all this time.
I know. I always have to like twizzle something. I
Have to
always do.
fiddle with something. But no, thank you.
Um,
It's been an honour. Thank you very much for
Thanks so
inviting me
much.
on.
Just before you go, where can people find you if they want to get booked in or have a chat with you about how you might be able to help them? Where can they find you?
Instagram, RAND Holistics is my main one, but you can also find me on Facebook and on Google.
Well, thanks so much for listening. And I hope that you have all taken something away from this conversation, whether it's a push to get some self-care for yourself with a reflexologist or Michaela if you're more local to the Sussex area, but also just that message about catering to you and your needs after birth and during pregnancy as well. Hope you all enjoyed the episode. Let us know your thoughts and feedback. And thanks again to Michaela, and see you all again soon. Bye.